All right, thanks for coming out, everybody. I'm Kevin Alcuni, a librarian here in the Exploration and Creativity Department with Los Angeles Public Library.
And welcome, and thank you, Kevin.
Thank you, Diane.
And I'm Diane Levo-Posner, the Principal Librarian and Associate Director of the Exploration and Creativity Department, and we're here to welcome you to today's LA Made with Giant Robot. Woo! Come on, let's go! Just so you know, I'm getting over a cold, so that took all my energy to do that.
Thank you for your sacrifice. Before we begin, we'd like to take a moment to thank the National Endowment for the Humanities, our Library Foundation, and our behind-the-scenes staff for helping bring the LA Made programs to you. LA Made focuses on the diverse landscape of Los Angeles, highlighting the immense artistic and performance talent that has developed in the course of the city's eclectic history. If you'd like to see more of our amazing programs, please visit our online calendar at lapl.org/events. And for our LA Made programs, visit lapl.org/LAMade.
We would also like to take this opportunity to recognize and acknowledge the first people of this land, honor their elders, past and present, as well as their descendants who are citizens of these nations. For more information on which territory you may reside on, please check out native-land.ca. Just a couple of housekeeping tips before we begin. Please silence your electronic devices as to not distract our amazing speakers this afternoon. Also, please take a moment to note the location of exits, so that at the back where you entered, to the side of the auditorium, just in case there's an emergency, because you know we live in Los Angeles. If you parked in the garage underneath the library today, you can get your parking ticket validated at the information desk in the main library. And the parking will only be $1 as long as you parked after 1 p.m. and leave before 5, and they might ask you for your lovely library card to prove that you have a library card. And please, no eating or drinking, except for water. Please hydrate. And if you need to go to the restroom, you can exit out the back and then turn down to your right to get to the restrooms.
Also, just wanted to take a moment to talk about our winter reading challenge that's coming up.
Woo!
Yay, we worked very hard. It's called Live, Laugh, Library, Read Everywhere. It's going to begin on January 2nd. If you're not aware, book reading is at all-time lows. Only 14% of young teens will read a book for fun. And so next year, starting for the Winter Reading Challenge, we're asking everybody to participate. You can go to any of your local library branches and pick up a bookmark. And we're asking that you read every day, and every day that you read, you color in a circle. When you've colored in all the circles you would have read for 10 hours, you can go back to your branch and you can pick up a certificate of knowledge, because now you are 10 hours smarter. It's beginning January 2nd. Please read every day. Don't pick up your phone during your lunch break. Pick up a book, and Live, Laugh, Library, everybody.
And you know what, Kevin? You know what we're giving people?
Oh.
To help you? Knowledge,
free books,
and these really cool colored pencils with a sharpener, so you could color it.
So you can use your bookmark when you're reading every day for 15 minutes. Just 15 minutes, please. All right.
Unless you want to do more.
Right, you can do more. At least, just try every day. All right, now for today's amazing program.
Woo!
Yay. Join us as we celebrate the release of a new book that dives deep into the pop culture phenomenon of Giant Robot. Author and Giant Robot founder Eric Nakamura will be joined by GR co-founder Martin Wong. Giant Robot, 30 Years of Defining Asian American Pop Culture features the best of the magazine's 68-issue run, alongside never-be-seen photographs, supplementary writing by long-term contributing journalist Claudine Ko, and tributes from now-famous fans including Margaret Cho, Daniel Wu, Randall Park, and Peggy Oki, among many others. Join me in welcoming author and Giant Robot founder Eric Nakamura, along with Jira co-founder Martin Wong, and moderating this discussion will be writer, event organizer, comedian, and actor George Chen. So let's welcome him to the stage. Yeah.
Check. Hey, how's it going, everyone? So this is Martin and this is Eric.
Hi.
If you don't know what they look like, I think maybe we'd start talking about, like, you guys both grew up in LA, both born in LA. Talk a little about your upbringing, and I was going to ask what's the first time you remember encountering like underground publications, like zine culture?
I think I first saw zine culture. Maybe it was like at Amok Books or something like that on Melrose, maybe, or if not, it was
Vermont.
They were used to be on Melrose, I think. Oh no. It was they were like in Boyle Heights or something. Or I used to, like they were further. They were not in Vermont yet, but yeah. And then I think maybe beyond that was just at record stores. You know, going to like Rhino or Aaron's or something like that, and seeing zines but they were never placed super well. It was just sort of in this kind of a, I don't know, separate area.
Do you remember how old you were?
No. I don't know.
I remember
18, 19, 18? I'm not sure.
No, I remember getting Flipside and Ink Disease and stuff like that when I was in high school. Maybe not Ink Disease, but Flipside for sure, and MRR.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I remember getting those at record stores.
Did you do anything for Flipside?
I did, yeah.
You were a photographer?
No, I wrote just a few reviews,
Okay.
maybe an article or two.
Yeah.
I met Joy Aoki at a show at the Coconut Teaser. I think Bad Religion and Green Day were playing. L7, it was her birthday show. And I struck up a conversation with her, and she found out I was like, you know, some guy that was an English major, goes to shows. Oh, you should write reviews or write for Flipside, and I did. So that was my entry.
Yeah, you were in college when you started doing that,
It was
right?
a little bit
Yeah.
after college.
Okay,
Yeah, late bloomer.
But you knew about zine culture from just being involved in like things.
Yeah, I
going
was
to shows.
already reading Comic Bus seriously. You know, just collect. I've got stacks of those at home still.
Do I need to explain what zines are? That would, okay. Okay. So we'll backtrack to what is, these are like independent, self-published, often photocopied magazines that are just, you know, born not for profit, but for people that just have an interest they want to express.
Yeah.
It goes back to
usually,
like, yeah.
I think most of them were about music, right? Because people would interview bands that aren't on the radio,
Yeah.
don't play big shows, they stay in people's houses and, you know, floors
Yeah.
and play in garages or backyards. Like Eric hosted a couple shows. I had bands stay at my house. And you'd also put out your own zines because they're not getting press in the Rolling Stone or whatever.
Right.
So there was this whole underground network of zines. And you would like, you know, send $1 to a P.O. box, self-addressed stamped envelope, and then they would send you a zine, you know.
It was the old internet, the analog internet. It was all in paper. But yeah, in the 80s, right? Like that 80s, 90s, that's when I think maybe all these music magazines started.
Yeah, so both Eric and I both contributed to zines, music zines.
You
Before Giant
Flipside,
Robot.
what were you doing?
I think, so I actually was trying to do photography. So there was a second where I was actually shooting hair metal bands, which is horrible.
For like a magazine?
A hair metal band, yeah, a hair metal kind of like a free newspaper.
Okay.
Was it Rock City News
It
or
was
something?
called Screamer.
Nice.
And it's like, I was like, oh, do I really have to go and shoot this band? And I just wanted to get published. So I was shooting these bands that I didn't even like. And they were just like, it was bad metal era. And then after that, I started shooting for Fizz. I think it was a
Oh yeah,
kind
Fizz.
of that was a little more punk rock. And
Yeah.
I got to, you know, just shoot a lot of stuff for them. And
I didn't really know Fizz back then, but I came across it recently. It's kind of like a flip side,
Kind of, right? Newsprint inside.
Newsprint, color covers.
Lots of text, probably. Some color covers,
Yeah, but you also shot like the Muffs.
Yeah, just a lot of stuff for fun.
yeah.
But I think I shot the first cover of Fizz, and then maybe the third and fourth one or something like that. So it was a lot of fun.
So yeah, you've been entrenched in the zine culture from going to shows and being involved in music stuff. And then, Eric, you worked for Larry Flint's publication company for a while.
Yeah,
Do I need to explain that?
I don't.
Okay.
I don't know if people know who he is. Do people know who he is anymore?
There's a movie about him with Woody Harrelson.
It's old though.
But yeah, no, it was a long time ago. But yeah, do you want to talk about, like, did working in that organization give you any ideas about doing your own publication?
I think the only thing I learned was that magazines could be made with really small staffs. You don't have to have a large, those staffs are just a few people. And because I worked at a video games magazine, so contrary to what you think with Larry Flint, you'd think porno, right? Porno magazines, but ultimately I worked in video games magazine, and that's not even, it's in a separate building from where the pornography was made. So we were not even close to it.
Yeah.
And really not close to it at all. And then ultimately you wouldn't even know. It feels like you're just making magazines, and it's just a magazine factory. It's really fast made. Things are maybe not double checked often. Things can go wrong a lot, but it's just a small staff, and it just shows you that it can be done. He had 50 magazines being made at the same time, and some of them had one person on staff.
It's funny, actually. Yesterday morning, I had breakfast with a buddy of mine, Gabe Soria, early Giant Robot contributor and helper and friend, and he was telling me how he worked on the video games magazine with Eric, and that one day Eric just walked in with Giant Robot. Hey, I made a zine, and they're like, "What? You made a zine?" And that's how he found out about it, and yeah, it's just happened really fast.
So since I had to explain what zines were to some people, I guess we need to explain how Giant Robot started. This is like 94-ish, and you...
First issue is 94, somewhere in the middle.
Black and white photocopy.
Yep.
And if you were going to make a zine back then, it was always helpful to know someone who worked at a copy store or somehow find a way to get copies.
I think ultimately the first one's paid for, but it was like super discount. My mom owned a restaurant, and right by the restaurant there was a stationery store, and they of course are like, just really close neighbors, so I got a really good deal from them. But then after that, to get copies, it was all free. Like always free copies, knowing friends that work in offices. It was just like anytime you could burn that favor, you'd burn it and just work those machines to death. And that's kind of it's a lot of like, just think the office would come back in the next day, because I'd be doing that after hours, and the next day that machine would be broken because machines are pretty fragile. You'd be surprised. Like if you just overwork them, they'll break down.
Well, Xerox machines always break down.
I know. So it's a Giant Robot has broken many machines. Honestly, many machines all over the place. Yeah.
It's kind of like bands brag about breaking toilets at the houses they stay at. Giant Robot brags about Xerox machines being broken in offices.
But then you moved to offset pretty quickly, right? From offset printing, from photocopies.
So when it comes down to it, I guess it's not offset. Technically,
it's not offset.
Well, it's newsprint.
Okay, you started with newsprint.
It's a little different. They
okay.
call that open web printing is what that's called, because there's no heat or something like that. So basically it's newsprint, and it's newsprint for a bunch of issues with a color cover. Yeah, which I guess that might be offset.
Color cover at first.
But it becomes a color cover with newsprint inside, just like Flipside or the zines we were talking about that are punk rock zines or magazines. I guess you would say we are doing the same thing, just with not punk rock content exactly.
Having a second color was a big deal back then. Like it really was a big difference. And then you went to full color covers pretty quick.
That was fourth issue.
Fourth issue.
So while Eric was taking doing photography and working in a dark room and contributing photos to, albums and magazines, I was working at for McGraw-Hill, editing textbooks for my day job. And then, we both contributed to music zines. One was called Fear of Grown-Ups, which is probably as small as you can get, because it was just our friend selling it out of his backpack, at shows. I don't know, maybe 40 copies, I don't know. But we both contributed to that. And then Eric was like, I want to make a zine about Asian stuff.
It's got to be, right?
Yeah, and I said, me too. So it happened really fast.
And then you guys made the first issue. It's a pretty thick issue, right? The first one.
Yeah, I think the idea was, I think it's just being competitive and seeing other publications, right, that are magazines, right? They're called magazines, but then I'm just thinking, gosh, they're okay, or at best, or maybe they're not very good. And I was thinking, well, we can make a zine that's going to be as content-filled as these magazines, and it's $2, right? So and the page count had to be higher.
Are you talking specifically about other Asian-oriented magazines at the time?
Okay. Just a lot of bad magazines.
We didn't read Asian-oriented magazines then.
I think I saw some though, and then I was just like grossly disappointed.
Offended?
A little bit, and then, but I think that's kind of part of what it's the competitive nature. I think when there's not a lot out there, and you just feel like you're getting slighted somehow, it becomes fuel, and then you just start making something, right?
Yeah, I think the same way, like, a young band, like the culture we're coming out of, right? Like a punk band would see these lousy, huge arena bands and think, wow, that sucks. They have all this money and these big audiences, and it's crummy. It doesn't say anything that's important. But the same thing, like, oh, we can make a magazine that's really low budget, but has a lot of energy and is raw and cool, and we'll have that outlet. And that's enough, just to have that voice and just share stuff that we think is cool. And there's music in it, like the first issue had boredoms, right?
There you go, boredoms.
But I think part of it is you hear people say, oh, you don't like it, well, do your own thing. Or you hear people say that still, and then I don't know, a lot of people are like, oh, forget that, I'm not doing it. I think the difference, I mean, that was just like, okay, gonna do it, right?
Yeah.
And you know, if you're up to put up that challenge, it's like, okay, it's just, you know, just acting on it was kind of important. But I think a lot of times you're just like, okay, you know, especially like, if maybe in politics or something, you don't like it, do something about it. And you're just like, oh, no, it's okay.
I don't want to go to city council meetings. Yeah.
I don't want to do that. Yeah, but I
you
think,
know,
you know, making a zine is totally difficult but doable.
But to like, this is like mid '90s, and actually, there's actually a pretty robust infrastructure for underground music, underground publications. There's like distribution channels. That's kind of what you need. And I think like now maybe people that would have started zines are just doing podcasts, right? Like that's kind of like the similar type of niche interests is often what these zines were about. Like there's a zine about a guy who just washed dishes. everywhere.
Dishwasher.
Yeah, dishwasher. He just
He went
go
to every
around.
state washing dishes, and one was like on a oil
rig?
Yeah, so
in Alaska or something,
That
right?
one's not a state, I guess, or something, right? Does that count as a state? He was in some oil rig somewhere.
Yeah,
not sure.
the international waters. Yeah. Speaking of so you guys always did you have interviews in the very first
Yeah.
time? When we were doing writing for
Mortsugu.
zines, were you doing interviews also?
Yeah, right
Yeah,
away.
So that's like a sort of a skill you have to develop, like just talking to people and
Hope so.
getting good
But
questions out of them.
But I think that's zines, right? Like it's a Q&A. It's like the lowest form of, journalism. It's just Q&A. Like he just asks questions, and we're not trained journalists. we're not-
Podcasts, right? Yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
like a podcast.
Yeah.
So it's not like we're writing a novel or a short story or anything.
Yeah.
And it's just a matter of being comfortable and just being a real fan or friend of the person you're interviewing. And Eric knew John pretty well,
Oh,
right?
you knew John Martsugu, early
Yeah.
really underground filmmaker. Yeah, how did you meet John? And
That was just from, I think I met him in 1991. He was on a panel discussion, and I met him there. But just thinking, oh, he's a really underknown subject, especially in like punk rock and even Asian America. No one knows who he is.
right.
So it was like definitely a person to interview.
I remember also because so this is a filmmaker, and then I learned this the other day when I talked to you a couple months ago that you had worked on like a Greg Araki film early on as well.
Yeah. That was also in, I think, 91. Yeah, I spent a whole summer being an intern for Greg Araki on a film called Totally Fucked Up. And that was a full 3 months, tiny crew. I mean, just 3 people type of crew. And it was a really great experience to like basically help make a movie.
And learn how to be cheap making a project.
That was kind of one of the harshest parts about it. It's like eating Taco Bell every day type of thing. When they had that 39-cent taco, it was, he would spring for the 39-cent tacos. So, yeah.
But I think the thing in common from that first issue to the very end is that we'd just be writing about stuff that we knew that we're into, that we felt like more people should know about. And most of them just happened to be Asian, and no one was into it. And in the beginning, that's Hello Kitty. And in the beginning, that's Hong Kong movies. And these, or, old Japanese robot toys. And this stuff no one was into or felt like it was worth capturing or documenting or, sharing or whatever.
Synthesizing all those things, because maybe there would be like one cinema magazine, one toy magazine, but bringing that all together.
I think that's kind of what it is, because there are zines out there. I guess, was it like those, Asian trash cinema, actually. And it's just pure cinema for the cinema fan. So if you're not a hardcore cinema fan, that's written in another language, right? So Giant Robot was kind of really meant for anyone just to pick up one issue or 2 issues or whatnot and kind of feel like you can fit right in and get into it. I don't think you need to read or know about everything just to understand what we're writing about.
And that's what's so great about this book is it's a good, you can just dive into it and you get kind of, I'll read it and I'll be like, oh, I can kind of tell when this was written based on like parts of the Q&A. I'm like, oh, this was done during the MySpace era or something like that. But it's a good introduction to a lot of topics that even I, knowing about you guys forever, there's a bunch of stuff I had totally forgotten about or not known about that showed up in here. Martin, I particularly liked the Chinese Jamaican article that you did about like Chinese people that were involved in reggae production.
Yeah, like we were going up to San Francisco a lot for Giant Robot related things, interviews or Zine Fest or whatever, and we'd always go to Aquarius Records.
Shout out Aquarius Records.
Yeah, Wendy was a columnist actually, and we became friends with like a ton of people that worked there. Andy, who drummed in J Church, but they always had a lot of rocksteady and ska, and like these homemade mixtapes as well as these weirdo reissues. And anyone who reads the comment, you see these last names like Kong, you know, or all these. It turns out there's just a ton of Chinese Jamaicans
Like
who
Clive Chin, that
yeah,
was
Clive
one.
Chin, yeah, the whole Chin family, Herman Chin Loy, and like, you know, the guy that gave Bob Marley his first guitar, Kong, Asian, you know, Chinese Jamaican. So I'm interviewing all these different people, and they're like Chinese guys with Jamaican accents, and it's so cool. Like, and they're talking about, you know, Chinese not making it to the U.S. wherever they wanted to go, and they wind up in Jamaica. And what did Chinese people do when they wind up in another country? Well, they start a business, right? Because they're just wired like that. And what do? You start a restaurant, and then what else is there? What's the other big industry in Jamaica? Well, music.
Yeah.
So naturally, a lot of them gravitated towards starting labels or being musicians or whatever. And so I just tracked down every single Chinese Jamaican I could and making long-distance phone calls to Toronto and Florida. And yeah, it was this massive undertaking, and I was really proud of that article. And it's funny because people think about Asian stuff and they just instantly think of Eastern Asia, but not the diaspora, right? Or Asians in America, or the Asians in Cuba, who are all ice cream vendors, I found out from my friend.
I did not know that
Yeah,
either. Yeah.
but so I was really proud of that. And I think it would have been a really great documentary to see all these Chinese Jamaicans, you know, like a really cool soundtrack. And then these Asian guys speaking with Jamaican accents, patois. But then they're all dead now, so it's too late. So.
Well, good thing
Sorry.
that they're interviewed here, at least. You
Yeah.
got kind of an oral history of that whole
Yeah, I made a
movement.
really good like mix CD that I shared with our staff, and my friend Michelle said she just listened to it the other day. So there's a Chinese
I have
Jamaican
that. I still have it.
CDR I can make for you if you still listen to them.
I was going to ask, like, in terms of interviews, since you've done so many over
I
like...
interviewed Byron Lee from the Dragonaires, and he was in Dr. No, which is like the first time like ska came out to the world, basically. Yeah, and I went to like this nightclub on Crenshaw, and it was just all these like Caribbean folks, and then there's Byron Lee there, and I just waited till like 4 in the morning, and I talked to him for like 20 minutes, but I was able to spin an article out of it. So anyway, sorry.
No. Did you end up going to Jamaica ever?
Eric's been there.
You've been to Jamaica.
I have been there.
Nice. Did you write about it or anything?
I don't think so. It was a
just
long time
vacation.
ago.
Yeah,
He said something about Chinese restaurants, I remember.
Oh yeah, the service everywhere. I mean, everyone's stoned, right? So if you order a hamburger, they look at you so bummed. Like, so this was a while ago, but they would look at you really bummed, like, oh fuck, you ordered something, you know? And I'm like, oh, sorry, hungry, right? And then it would take a really long time to get your food. So you go to a Chinese restaurant, fast, everything fast, and I was like, whoa.
No one's stoned at the Chinese
It'll
restaurant?
get you out of there. Get to the next
It was
customer.
a whole nother level, like speed and everything compared. So no, it's
Yeah.
true. That's what I learned.
I actually was going to say that there's a lot of travelogue type pieces in here, and in the magazine there's always these interesting kind of travelogues you guys would have, or just like focus on like regional Chinatowns, or like going to another country and then just kind of just whoever is writing it. It's not always you guys writing it. You had other people writing for the
That's
magazine.
because we didn't have a lot of money and we couldn't
Yeah.
travel.
Yeah.
There's no travel budget or travel budget to write travel articles. Most of it was a family trip. If you're going on a trip with your family, it's like okay, I'm gonna exploit this trip for Giant Robot and use it for articles, right? That's
Yeah.
kind of however we can do it.
Yeah,
it
that's
would always
how,
turn into articles.
like my China article, that's a family vacation. But then I went on a business trip to New York, and I remember I interviewed one of the guys in the Yellow Power movement, Alex
Right,
Singh,
yeah.
happened to be in New York. So I every time I'd go on a business trip, I'd try to figure out what's cool and Asian out there.
But then at the same time, that means you're out there exploring and doing something different that's not touristy, probably. So
Yeah.
in that way, I think it's really fun to have a excuse, I
to
guess,
have a mission
do
when you
something,
travel
yeah.
somewhere, and I've really become wired that way. Like wherever I go now, I'm always trying to find, oh, who do I know there? Who did I meet through Giant Robot usually? And it's weird because of Giant Robot, I've got this whole network of friends and readers and people that I interviewed like all over the world, any city, I can find someone that's read Giant Robot or was in Giant Robot or subscribed and hang out with that person, have that person take us around. It's this really cool, and you must feel that too, right?
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Eric, you travel for art stuff occasionally?
Sometimes, yeah.
Like
But-
you'll do an art show
But
abroad?
then usually, I don't know, it's just all artists and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And artists, you guys, so right now, the magazine ended in 2011, right?
Yeah. I think the last issue comes out in late 2010.
Late 2010.
Uh-huh.
And then you had the store going, and you kind of kept going with the store.
Yep.
Actually, was the restaurant going at that point as well?
The restaurant, yeah, it goes from like 2005 to 2011 or something like that.
I guess it's like
Yeah.
from a fanzine that's photocopied in the early 90s, you get like an art gallery that does like biennials at the Japanese American Museum. You get a restaurant, you get, like you're curating all the time, things like that. There's a lot of legacy that kind of goes beyond the magazine that kind of
Yeah,
is
I
really covered in the introduction.
But
of
there
this
were
book.
many stores,
Yeah.
not just LA.
There's multiple stores,
Yeah.
all over.
New York, San Francisco.
I remember.
It was
some of
pretty
those.
overzealous maybe in some ways, but it's cool. It was a
Yeah.
good experience.
No, like you kind of are always starting things. I think it's it's very diverse what this has turned into, over the years.
I think that's part. I think Giant Robot was always kind of diverse anyway. So I think trying all these different things, and it's sort of like all the content in the magazine itself was just like all things that we enjoyed or learned about or were learning about. I think when you add it all up, that's kind of what Giant Robot is. Yeah. It's just a never-ending kind of like learning things.
Yeah, I think on one hand, it's a time capsule of, certain filmmakers and artists and musicians and food or whatever, but it's also a time capsule of like DIY culture
Yeah.
and just being really into things and seeking it out and becoming friends with them, inviting them to your house and making a zine. And that energy, I think, is really different when I read it now compared to articles, about anything, right? Whether it's an art show now or a band that's coming through town. Like all you see is, oh, here's a link to what's happening this week. And then there's no reviews the next day. There's no interviews. There's nothing.
Yeah.
There's no deeper content than a click.
I think that's like zine culture is like more about the perspective of the writer in a lot of ways than like traditional journalism. And like neither of you really dove into like newspaper journalism or all weekly journalism or anything after this, did you?
No.
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 Yeah.
But I think that's the thing is, the weirdest part is you make a magazine, 68 issues. We weren't journalists. Like there's a schooled method for everything. We didn't know what that was. So everything was crossing lines everywhere that was not journalistic. And I think that's kind of what makes Giant Robot more unique is that we get to a place next to all these journalistic publications everywhere, but we're not journalists exactly. So everything's a little different.
Right,
It
like
feels different. Reads different.
Yeah,
That's kind of the cool part.
The like kind of Asian radicals from the 60s, like you guys did a very thorough interview with a lot of people from that movement, and that's in here as well.
Yeah.
Like you're saying, like it's not an academic thing. It's more like an oral history.
Yeah,
It's probably like-
but it's kind of like it's like a civil rights movement, Asian American civil rights movement. We did 28 pages in our magazine for that, and in one issue, and that's kind of weird, right? It's like you make a magazine that's going to go all over the country again on newsstands, and then you're going to put 28 pages of this like historical unknown kind of, I don't know, just all civil rights activists.
Yeah, and
it's just different.
we kind of interviewed them the same way we would have interviewed, a band or a filmmaker, Wong Kar-wai or J Church. We were interviewing these activists the
Right.
same way, historical activists who are older than us and were part of stuff in the 60s and 70s, and led to a lot of things that shaped the culture that we were part of later on.
It's kind of funny because when you think about like when you were doing that in the 90s, that time gap is probably less than the 30 years now from when you started this to someone who's getting into something now.
I remember like around then is like when Spike Lee made the X movie and Public Enemy was like, sampling a lot of speeches, and X-Clan was doing that. And we're like, man, where's, how about Asian American activists? So we threw it in there.
You do have an interview with the guy, is it Guy Aoki? Did we talk about this? I think I maybe wrote you, because
He got
he got outed
BuzzFeed,
as
yeah,
being
he
an
was a rat.
FBI informant when I was in the Black Panther Party.
Yeah, it's in the book,
It-
and then
yeah.
at the very bottom, I think there's a little bit of text that's
Yeah.
added for this book that just says, yeah, he might have been an FBI, or he was an FBI informant.
That most
Yeah.
people think that. Yeah,
Yeah.
it seems that way. Okay, well, that was dark. Okay.
Yeah.
I was gonna ask you. This might be more like going back to this era. I always hated transcribing interviews. Did you guys transcribe your own interviews? Did you have other people do it, like interns or something?
All across the board. Sometimes we did it. Sometimes somebody else did it. Yeah, no, it was.
I
it's
bought
always
one
a
of those
chore.
machines. I bought the little tape and like you
The
step
foot
on it.
one?
Yeah, and it
Yeah.
rewinds a little bit and then keeps playing.
This is a very 90s conversation. There was like to transcribe stuff, you have like I had a job where I did this. You had to like you could rewind it or like slow it down with the foot pedal and just be typing and staring at a word processor.
And now you could probably use some kind of.
There's an app.
Yeah,
Yeah, these
Oh, wow.
days,
Yeah.
what I do, my loophole is like all recorded on Zoom or whatever, and then you import it into like your favorite movie editing thing, auto caption, and then you and it even says like speaker 1, speaker 2. It's so
Okay.
easy.
I use something called Descript that I'm paying for. It's probably a mistake. But if you're like, okay, so you've done interviews. What is your preference of doing interviews? Like in person, like a phoner, or like an email? Because the email, you don't have to transcribe anything.
That's just so lazy.
I'm a lazy man.
I like that, but no, in person.
In person.
Yeah.
Always the best.
Although it doesn't always go well, right? Like,
Oh yeah, where are some of the difficult interviews you guys?
Oh, I
have had?
remember. I think any interview that any interview for it to be okay, you have to have the interviewee or subject. They have to be into it. They have to be able to articulate what they want. You know, they want to be articulated about, but they can't also just stay on one message, because sometimes they have an agenda and then they might stay on one message, and no matter what question you ask, it goes back to their message. So sometimes that blows.
there's some people, like Jackie Chan. He's been asked every single question a million times, but still answer with all of his heart and just be so stoked and pretend like it's the first time he's heard it. Super exciting, super cool. But then the guy in Corner Shop,
Oh boy.
that was like that was so bad. Like you could tell he was just not stoked, not wanting to be there, gave really shitty answers. And I'm like, well, at least I got a cool picture of you sitting behind the steering wheel on your tour bus.
In the car, yeah.
Yeah, that was really disappointing.
And then I remember another one. I hate to say it, Hiro Yamagata, the artist.
oh yeah.
That was a horrible interview. I remember that.
Yeah.
He didn't even I think you asked him, what does your art mean? And he said, I don't know.
Yeah.
I was just like, oh man.
And he's not even that cool. Like, it's a favor doing his stuff, you know?
Yeah.
It's like, he's not even a cool artist. Like, why? Thanks.
I remember that. I was like, oh my gosh, this guy. He just wasn't into it. So, but those are just the worst ones. But I mean, for the most part, people are excited to be in Giant Robots. So I think most of the interviews were actually really good. I think even better than what another magazine might get, because they're really excited to be in it.
The thing about Giant Robot is that because we were smaller and not this big glossy things, we either get people on the way up when no one knows who they are yet, or on the way down when no one cares about them anymore. And they're like super psyched that we're worshiping them like gods, you know? Gong Li. You know, just certain people, like super gracious and awesome, even though, you know, we catch them at the right time, or the wrong time, I guess.
So you were getting hit by like publicists for like these Hong Kong actors and stuff, or did you have to like seek everything out?
In the beginning, no,
Yeah.
but later on, maybe a little. But most of the time, I think we seeked it out somehow, some way. But after a while, I think we started getting more PR people because they want to keep their jobs.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we were like animals. Like every issue, as soon as we'd finish sending something to a printer, we'd be like going through every single, like, you know, this film festival's coming up. Who's gonna be there? You know, check every single listing, every single band listing, and see who's coming to town.
Yeah.
You know, what books are on my shelf that are new, that has an author? You know, like we were just like, it was the most awesome thing.
And because at what point did you become like every other month? Is that bi-monthly? That's
Yeah, I think.
bi-monthly.
Yeah, maybe in 2010. Was that it? Oh, I'm sorry, 2000 or
Okay.
something like that, right?
Yeah, around 2000 is
2000,
when you open the
2003,
store.
something like that.
And I quit my day job, or I didn't have a day job anymore.
Yeah.
And then I think that's around when it became bi-monthly.
And so, like, also, like, Martin, what are you thinking when he's going off and opening a restaurant? How are you feeling about stuff like that?
It's awesome
Sorry.
because he comes from a restaurant family, and he's doing stuff with his mom and his dad.
Shout out to Eric's mom.
Yeah, and the food is so good. Like, I remember going into GR Eats and testing the veggie meatballs because I didn't eat meat. And they're like, they made a vegetarian meatball because I don't eat meat. And like that, and it was so good. Chef Nelson, he would make this veggie paella, veggie version because, someone on this, because her son's friend doesn't eat meat. Like, I was so stoked. And the cool thing for me, though, when he was working on the store, first of all, I didn't have to have a day job anymore because he was actually making money on something. There was health insurance, which is incredible for someone working on a zine. That
is
doesn't
rare.
happen anywhere else.
No, I don't think so.
And then also he was so busy, I really got to just work on the magazine all the time. And that's awesome, And like Eric would just jump in, oh, it's time again. I'm like,
Just
okay.
too often.
Yeah. So
Deadlines are hard.
It was great. It was like being part of the giant robot cinematic universe or something. It was expanding. It was great.
And so, did you?
But then people would come through and like go to the store, because like you don't come through town and visit someone's magazine office, but you'll visit the store or the restaurant. So we'd have all like
Super excuse to just go hang out.
so
it was
bands
always
would
fun.
come by and they'd go to the store or the restaurant. And
Store's
friends.
still there. There's 2 stores now. Well, there's a gallery and a store. Yeah. So it's all in Sawtell. You grew up around Sawtell, right?
Yeah, right in that area. And but I think it starts there because our office was 5 blocks away. But then part of it was a street was kind of dead then, right? Sawtell, if you know it, Sawtell Japantown now is really kind of busy, but at the time it was pretty dead, especially the block we're on. And it was looking for a place to open a retail business because we were doing mail order, believe it or not, and internet orders. All that stuff was happening, and it was just kind of taking over the office. So having a store was pretty important at that time. And despite what everyone was saying, that brick and mortar was going to die, and it was all going to go to e-commerce, right? That was like the beginnings of Amazon, and so much advice was don't open a store, just do e-commerce only. And of course, Giant Robot's way is, no, we're not listening to anybody, and you open a store. But part of it was just like one day, there was a good spot, and it had a for lease sign, and I was the first person to ask. And then for the art gallery, which is also on Sawtell, a sign one day, a for lease sign went. I was again the first person to inquire, and so I got both of those spaces. But yeah, it's just being the first and really fast at it. So yeah, that was kind of important.
Yeah. Sawtell is a great neighborhood. We love Sawtell. I used to do a show at your gallery. I did a comedy show, which is we knew each other before that. I'm just saying that's a thing that we did. I brought a little zine that was like flyers we all did from this show in like 2016 to 2018. Some famous people in here. It's not in this. I was gonna say, Martin, I saw something you wrote about like being influenced by David Foster Wallace in your writing.
Yeah, the short stories.
Mm-hmm.
I never made it through Infinite Jest.
Mm, yeah.
But I loved his essays. Like he would write, I think it was Harper's, where he would write about going to the county fair or the state fair, and he wrote about going on a cruise. Mm-hmm. And like, they were like super descriptive and interesting and funny and smart. And they had like really long footnotes. It was just packed with information. And as an English major, like you read all this other dead white people. He wasn't dead yet.
No.
But that book or his stuff, and like John Waters' essays in Crackpot and Shock Value, where he's just gushing about stuff that his obsessions, and Comet Bus, just writing about punk, but not about music, just about life.
I was gonna say that's part of it. It's like
all those things really influenced me. And when I wrote that first piece in issue 2, the Hello Kitty, I Was Hello Kitty article, and it's hard to believe that Hello Kitty was like ever underground or that anyone would not know who Hello Kitty is. It was a first-person piece about getting a job being Hello Kitty at the Hello Kitty store and learning the Hello Kitty dance and being tackled by little kids. and having, grown-ups, look at you suspiciously because they think you're gross. But like that essay was like a real turning point, and it kind of like went from just doing Q&As and reviews and stuff to some first-person stuff, just about culture or weird culture or Asian hybrid culture, this experience.
Yeah, and experiencing it.
And doing things firsthand. That essay kind of led to the Manzanar article, I think.
Yeah, that's yeah.
And
The Manzanar article, we could explain. You guys went to Manzanar and you skated there.
so it
And
was
took
kind of like
photos?
a travel piece where we went there with skateboards.
Yeah, with
And
giant tractor tires kind of on a skateboard, just to ride on dirt, because it's like, how do you ride on a dirt, right? You can't really skateboard on it.
and there was no
but-
museum then.
Yeah.
And you would just go there to this big dirt lot with, barbed wire fences and
I
some
don't-
remnants.
It wasn't a historical landmark yet either, I think, or
Yeah.
was it? I'm not sure. I
There,
don't think
it
so.
was, but it was
I'm not
no one
sure.
cared about it.
Yeah.
It was just left alone, just this big
Kinda
lot.
dilapidated,
And there
yeah.
was a couple, signs here and there, but we just went there and just like skateboarded and wrote about it.
There was
and-
no do not skateboard sign, so it was okay, I guess.
Yeah, but that turned out to be like another big turning point for
Yeah.
us because, first we're writing about culture and just stuff that people doesn't think is important at all. And now we're writing about this really important historical moment, but from a different point of view.
Yeah.
And I remember Margaret Cho, like, there was an article about Giant Robot in the LA Times, and she said, oh, they reclaimed Manzanar. How punk rock is that? And I was like, whoa, I guess it was. You're right. And Eric took this incredible photo
Yeah.
of me off of the that big monument,
The
right?
monument, yeah, you can't do that today, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
doing like a
not literally
50-50
can't do
off
that
it.
today. With
yeah.
And that's like that issue, something about to have that article.
They
and
still
then I'm
talk,
just-
that
Yeah,
photo is
it's
always
it's
like loved.
featured
Yeah.
heavily in the documentary, the
Yeah.
Artbound documentary. Have you guys seen that? There's a documentary about these guys. Nope. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very good. Very good.
Two people.
Dylan heard of it.
Yeah, the Manzanar part really sticks out in
Yeah.
that one.
Yeah, but that was like a big deal, like going from culture to history, and then tackling this really dark, messed up part of history that most people didn't even know about. Still, Asian people don't even know about it in the U.S. So yeah, it was like this really cool trajectory and evolution of us as zine writers.
Yeah, and I think part of it, like you think, okay, you're making a zine. Usually, I mean, that means it's just like getting something done, and it could be it's okay if it's a little bit crappy.
It's done.
I think
That's
the
the main
idea
thing,
is, but I think as we kept going, we wanted to be good writers. I mean, ultimately, right? So, like David Foster Wallace's tennis articles about Roger Federer are amazing, right? So it's like just being able to read what people can do and what's possible makes you just think, okay, there's like things to look up to, and if I can be that anywhere, even in that same area, which isn't possible, but you know what I mean, trying, I think that's was kind of important.
Yeah.
And it's just self-taught though. It's not going to some MA somewhere. It's
Well,
just
reading
self-taught.
other zines and
Yeah.
reading other literature.
I'll
and
say that issue
nonfiction.
it had the Manzanar article, but it also had Michelle Yeoh, and it had like a liquor taste test. So like, and this is before foodie culture. Like,
Yeah,
that
you
didn't
really
exist
actually
yet.
predate a lot of foodie stuff. I was thinking like there's, I don't think there has been a food magazine. There's maybe been a couple food magazines that are kind of in a countercultural kind
I
of
don't know if they
vein,
do
but-
taste tests though, or I don't know if they were doing that at the time. But yeah, for us it was just like doing taste
Well, you
tests.
had to
was a lot of fun.
describe what things tasted like.
It's
'cause
hard,
You didn't
right?
have the video or
Yeah.
like the sizzling grill or anything like that.
And not everybody had access to like Asian markets.
That's
and
right.
stuff.
Yeah.
So it was like to people in the Midwest, they were just freaking out. But people in Hawaii are like, oh, of course, that is the best coffee drink, or whatever.
Did you guys get a lot of mail from like people that are like, I'm the only Asian person in my town in Iowa? Do you get stuff like
Colleges.
that? Colleges?
Yeah, lots of that. Or there was a lot of mail. That was snail mail days. So there was a lot of people writing in. Sometimes it'd be I'm the white guy that likes, the things you write about. It was always like, it was always different like that. But no, I remember seeing a lot of letters from people saying that they Giant Robot changed my life. Like that kind of article, or I'm sorry, those kind of letters. People saying that, I was gonna be a doctor, I was gonna do this and that, and that wasn't for me. And now I pursued art because of it. I bet you there's hundreds of people, if not more, that changed their whole life trajectory because of Giant Robot. Hopefully for the better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was gonna get to Boris' question. And then
Okay.
We're probably gonna get to Q&A in a little bit. Martin, I did see something in here I did want to ask you about. Is that I don't know what year this was. You went on tour with Damon and Naomi and the Japanese metal band Boris as a roadie.
I'm not skilled enough to be a roadie, but I could be a merch guy selling T-shirts. And I remember Naomi put out this public call asking, hey, does anyone want to sell T-shirts for us? We're going on tour, and we're with Boris. I'm like, holy shit, it's Boris. No, Damon and Naomi are our friends. They're the most gentle, nice, sweet people. And their music is like that too, very mellow, folky, lo-fi. They came out of Galaxy 500. And then they're touring with Boris, which is like the gnarliest, noisiest, psychedelic doom metal band, right? And I'm like, whoa, this is like, I've always written for zines and had bands stay at my house, but I'm never gonna get to go on tour ever again, because Wendy and I married Wendy, who was the graphic designer for the magazine. And and we were pregnant with Eloise, and I'm like, I'm never gonna travel again, forget it, I'm gonna go on Wendy, can I go on this week-long, West Coast thing? So yeah, I went down.
How far along was she at that point?
Well, she was big enough that at the Echoplex, the last show of the tour, Boris is playing, and they play like really heavy, low frequencies that shake. They have is it Earthshaker? Is that the record? Anyway, they play really gnarly, heavy stuff. And she's like, I gotta go. This is like not good for
This will
our
break the
fetal
water.
baby.
Yeah.
But it was incredible, just, selling tons of Boris stuff and saying hi to a couple Damon and Naomi fans.
And then now you do get to go on tour.
Yeah, and then the irony, of course, is that I thought, I'm never gonna get to go on tour. Like, this is my one chance to get in the van. And then we have a child, and she's in a band, and now she takes us all over the place, traveling. So.
The Lindas.
Yeah. So, go
Awesome.
figure.
Yeah, all it comes full circle. Okay, Kevin, do you have a mic for people that want to ask questions? Just if you want to ask a question to Eric and Martin, just raise your hand and Kevin will bring you the mic.
Yeah, and just remember a question ends in a question mark. And Jack and Ryan, if you can play the slides. We have some slides.
Ouch.
We don't need a whole essay statement, just questions. Who has a question? No pressure. All
I
right.
see a hand. Yeah.
I know this guy.
Thank you for this talk. I was wondering if you might share a bit more about the process of putting together a magazine, sort of like how you approach that bi-monthly deadline from start to finish.
I forgot.
Okay, well, I kind of remember, like, people would ask us, and we'd say, well, first of all, you know how people always, like, get a big room of people together and, I want to do this, this person will do that. Forget all that. Just find like 2 or 3 people that you're on the same, wavelength with it and do it. And don't worry about if it's terrible or not great. Just get that first one out, because you'll get better and figure it out as you go on. And, just go for it. That's
The bi-monthly, if you're gonna do that, you have to work backwards from what deadlines you want, right? You have to kind of backwards engineer your timing, printing time, shipping time, all that kind of stuff, and then editorial time. But then there's design time, copy editing time.
Yeah.
There's all this kind of stuff you have to add, so you have to just figure out how fast you can do everything if you're gonna go bi-monthly. If you're gonna, do you make a magazine?
oh.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, I wasn't sure. I was like, wait, if you're making a magazine,
Yeah,
you're
and
gonna have
then-
to do all of, there's so many steps.
Yeah,
that's,
and I think we also learned that
Ad sales. You forgot ad sales.
I didn't even get backwards. There's even more, right? It keeps going,
Yeah,
but yeah, there's
distro is a
nonstop.
racket
Yeah.
too. But, oh no, go. Oh, so thematically,
thematically, right?
like filling pages, content stuff.
Oh,
I think
well-
having departments helped a lot, knowing that like from here to here we're gonna have reviews. The beginning we have an intro, top 5s, trash section, little tidbits on stuff that's happening. Then a bunch of articles. We're gonna have a music article. We're gonna have a film article. We're gonna have art article. Bunch of reviews, comics at the end. Just having buckets to fill helps a lot.
But then thematically part was, so each issue has a theme, but I think we didn't usually pick a theme first. We would look at all the articles and goes, what's the theme? So it's kind of like an artist that's kind of makes a painting and goes, what's this about? It's sort of like that. And so it's looking at it all and thinking, okay, there is a theme, and here's the theme, and it's Sometimes it's a little bit abstract, and hard to understand, but sometimes it's very glaring, like obvious. Oh, there is a theme.
Yeah.
But we never went in with, this is, well, maybe the early issues, but for the most part, there was no big plan ahead of time. It was mostly like, let's just make the best issue we can, and then let's just make a theme so the magazine has a theme. But really, I don't know. They don't really have
Right,
themes.
we did have a music issue early on, for example.
Issue 15, right?
And
That's
then
way
later
back.
on, we just made it up because we figured it's kind of boring to go in and just if you read all about one thing all the way through, like that kind of wasn't Giant Robot. It should be that if you're a music fan, you're going to discover movies. If you're into, movies, you're going to discover art, something. So you're always getting turned on to stuff that you wouldn't have discovered otherwise. But later on, I would say that, like there was the Boris article, I think it was called, there was also something on an Indonesian death metal band, and then Cause was in it somehow. But then we called it heavy metal, M-E-T-T-L-E. And you just make up something that's kind of cute, but kind of overarching, and you can kind of fake. But yeah, it's not like there was ever an essay explaining.
So I think the thing is, so when there's events that happen annually and then they need a theme, I can pretty much tell that I'm like, this event happened last year, it's the same thing. You're just trying to make up a fake theme because you have to, and that's sort of what Giant Robot is doing. So it really stands out to me now when I see something. I'm like, that's not a real theme. That's bullshit. They made this up for an event because they needed a theme, but it's really not. They're doing whatever they want, and then they made a theme later. So that's okay.
The answer is we didn't have themes.
Yeah.
Any
So
other hands
just do
over
the
here?
best thing you can,
got
and
a
then make
couple
up a theme
missing.
later.
All right, coming over.
Oh yeah,
Oh, that's the photo.
that was me.
Hi, what I wanted to ask, what's one place in the United States or outside the US that you were shocked that got there, your little magazine? What's one place in the world that you were like,
Mexicali.
wow?
Yeah, we did an article.
That it was there. I mean, we had fans in Mexicali.
Yeah.
I don't know where they bought it. Maybe they bought it across the border somewhere, but we actually went to Mexicali. I thought that was interesting.
So Mexicali, it's kind of like a factory town on the border. There's a there's a Calexico and then a Mexicali, and
Yep.
one's on the U.S. side, one's on the Mexico side. So we went to the Mexico side looking for the Chinatowns that were supposed to be there, because there's a lot of Chinese people and there's like factories there and stuff. And we just went around, like we went to like the one Chinese Mexican restaurant, and we just hung out. We just made friends and we hung out with them. But what's funny is later on, I was at this Linda show in San Diego, and this guy comes up, and he doesn't ask for a picture with them, he asks for a picture with me. And I'm like, what? And it turns out he was a hardcore Giant Robot reader, and he's one of the guys we hung out with. And I was talking, and he remembered, I remember we were driving out, he was talking about what you do in Mexicali for fun. They just cruise around in their cars on a hot night with a cold drink between their legs. And they called it Nagas Frescas, cold balls. And
I think it was a beer, especially,
Yeah, yeah.
right? It was not agua. Yeah.
but yeah, and then I saw this guy. He was at the Velocity Girls show
Oh,
just
wow.
a month ago,
Oh,
maybe,
wow.
and he said hi. And I see this guy at all these Linda shows, but he never talks to them. He talks to me
Wow.
every time.
See?
Yeah. In fact, we were at Janum doing the book thing, and he wanted me to bring a book over, but
Oh, wow.
they sold out, so I couldn't bring him a book. So sorry, dude.
Oh, well.
Yeah.
All right, just a couple more.
Okay. I grew up 1976 in Downey, California. It was all white. I was the only Mexicano. My buddy Calvin Chung, 6th to 8th grade. Anybody messed with him, they messed with me. But I shared my culture, his Chinese culture, because they own the Blue Rose in Norwalk. It was a Chinese restaurant. Man, and skateboarding. We loved skateboarding. And in Downey, we had licorice pizza. Remember licorice pizza?
Yes.
And then we had Middle Earth. Middle Earth is
Yeah.
where we get your guys' magazines.
And you had the blasters, too.
Yeah, and we had the Carpenters. We're known for the Carpenters. But the issue is when we were we were in the skateboard action now, and then you guys came out, and it just kept the diversity because skateboarders were so diverse. I work in Kentucky, Louisville, Kentucky. They have a skate park, it was right there. Nobody was using it. I just started going and started skating, and next thing you know, you got a whole community, Black, Asian, everybody's coming out now. So skateboarding, I think also, and let me show you my skateboard.
Oh, wow.
So, you know,
Awesome.
so
Yep.
I think the diversity is when you skateboard, you fall, you can't blame nobody but yourself.
Yeah, we interviewed a lot of skateboarders. Yeah, Jeff Ho, Peggy Oki, Steve Cab, Costin, so many. And we did it all the way through because, you know, because it informs cool music, you know, cool clothes, you know, everything kind of comes from skateboarding. So we always put that in there.
Still was outlaw, kind of an outlaw type of thing. It was not compared to rollerblading or something. It was still outlawed, so, you know, it's tough. Oh.
Right, J-Boy passed away, yeah.
And the diversity that was in the place, Black, women, surfers, everybody. And when we went to the Venice skate park, Mercedes-Benz, the lowriders, the bikers, every diversity, it was just beautiful.
Yeah, he was saying how diverse like the Venice skateboarding scene was. And we were really psyched when Glennie Friedman put out the Dogtown book. And that's when I was able to get to like Jeff Ho and Peggy Oki, but also, you know, Wentz and all Bulldog and all these other skaters, because, you know, they were all part of that same story. So I love that.
Last question. I think, are you guys gonna be able to hang out after?
Sure.
Yeah.
All right, so.
Hi, sorry, I'm a huge fan. Well, sort of. My older cousin used to like get your magazines when I was younger, and I was like 4 or 5. Sorry. If you would have to cover any like topic, like anything now, what would it be? Like, what type of topics would you cover now from like movies and TV shows or anything like that? Like any artist or anything.
So I'm always looking at the internet. Like, that's what else is there, right? So I'm looking at the internet a lot, like Reddit, name it. Oh, what? Yeah.
Thing you were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
What's that? Oh, that would have been really fun, right? The Hana Kobayashi story, right? I would have found her in Mexico before anybody else did. I'm gonna dig up her suitcase that she buried. Like I'm on, you know, like I would do all that. So
I remember there was a story about like an evil twin story. Remember where there's like one Korean girl who killed her sister, or no, took her sister's identity, right? And I was like, oh, I'm gonna make an article where I have a twin brother. I'm like, we're gonna go on a double date with them. And I wrote letters, and we sent faxes to their lawyers and stuff, and I think they sold the story to like a TV, and I wrote a letter to them, and it never happened, but that would have been a really good one, right?
I guess that's it, guys.
Well, I mean, do you guys have any final remarks you want to close on? Just, yeah, any
What about
final
the book?
thoughts?
The book's available.
yep, check out the book.
You have some for sale.
Yeah, yeah. So, all right, well, let's give him a hand.
Yeah! Woo!
I just want to say that I'm not at the store every day and at the gallery like Eric is, and
I'm not there every day either.
but it's really cool that this book has come out, and I've had a chance to catch up with Eric and see his mom and hang out with Charlotte and Kate and just see all these old friends and just talk about Giant Robot and like remember it, because it kind of came and left like a fart in the wind. Like the last issue finishes and we all move on.
But that was a big fart, at least.
Yeah, it was a big, juicy, hot fart, and thanks all of you for coming by to take it in.
Martin's dad's also here. We got the parents.
Did you have?
No,
You're
I
good?
got nothing.
You're good, George? I got nothing. Okay, thank you so much for attending today's LA Made program. And before you leave, please be aware the book is available in the library, so you can actually check it out. So that's super cool. Forever.
Yep.
It's like forever.
I mean, you
available.
You got to return the book,
You got to return it,
but you can check it out.
but
Yeah.
it'll be part of LA history.
There's even more good news.
But there's more good news. So you, on your yellow wristbands, if you have a little robot designed by our own AC Anna, she drew it on there for you, you have won a free copy of the Giant Robot book. Woo! There you go. So as you walk out, there'll be an area where our staff is to hand you the book, and they are signed. And they're also available at the library store. And remember, all of the money that the library store comes back to the library and to these programs. So that's what's so great. And I'll let, Kevin's next, go ahead.
Oh, okay. Well, until next time, thank you for joining us. The success of LA Made and literally all of our library programs could not happen without the support of you, our patrons. So thanks so much, and have a great rest of your afternoon.